Hello and welcome to Babylon Game Starter. We are off and looking at a really interesting aspect here that was requested by a wonderful student. And that aspect of the game is hey, let's replace or place back the character or respawn the character if they fall off the map. So that's exactly what we're going to be doing this particular lesson. So let's go ahead and look at the helper code. And we have two different sections of code to add. The first says place the following code after the handler registration finishing on line 81 of behaviormanager.ts. So there we have our instruction of where to put it. Now we can do several different things to kind of accommodate for this. The best in this case, since we don't have a particular wording that we can guarantee is going to be part of the file, we just look at the name of the file. It says behavior underscore manager. So let's go look for that over here. Let's go to the file explorer and we want to look for behavior manager, and there it is. And hey, that wasn't too bad, right? So we found what we needed. Now let's go copy the code that we need. And we're going to take this code. This is the particular part of the code right here, the part that I've highlighted now. That's the part that you would highlight. We're going to go put that after the registration that finishes on 81. So if we go over here, here's line 81. So we want to go after that. So we want to hit the return key. And then we want to paste in our code. And let's go ahead and format the code to make it look nice. And let's take a look at it for a second. This says register fall respawn handler RV life subtract credits on fall respawn. Okay, let's see what it does inside of this. So inside of this is a function. It's an arrow function, a type of anonymous function there. And this function defines the word total, and it's getting whatever the number of total credits that they have. And if it's greater than 99, we're going to go ahead and take away 100. So that's kind of the rule being applied right there. And we'll be able to see here in a little bit whether it actually takes away those 100 points. We'll definitely look into that, but let's go back for the moment to the helper code. And it says place the following code after the spawn rotation definition of the RV life environment in assets TS. So we want to go into the assets TS. I copied this code already. So let's go into the assets TS file. So if I go over here, it's the first file underneath the index. There it is, assets TS. And I want to go over here. There's the dystopia. There's RV life. That's exactly what we want. And we want to go after the spawn rotation. So that's down here on line 506. And I'm going to hit return after going to the end of that line and paste in the code. And then I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing as I did before. I'm going to go ahead and run format code, clean it up a little bit, and let's see what this does. So this is a declarative, configurative way of expressing what we want to happen whenever our particular avatar goes off of the map. We want it to respawn, and we want something else potentially to happen in addition to that. That's why we're doing this. It is going to respawn by default nowadays. That's what's you can expect on every environment, so you don't necessarily have to add a section like this in your configuration unless you want something else to happen. So this is like a hook to the event where you're defining a particular thing to happen once that event fires. So in this case, we're going to have this reference, and this is the same thing that we registered. If you go back to the behavior manager, remember, we did this registration, and look what this says. So we registered this handler, and that's the name of it. And then we're basically letting the system know that this is where it applies. It applies right there for this environment, the RV life. And that's why I named it to go along with that, just to be clear, right? You want to be clear and communicate well in your code. So RV Life is the name of the environment. So I made this particular handler ID RV Life subtract credits on fall respawn. Don't want to leave too much room for the imagination right there. I want to be very clear what's going on. So I'm going to go ahead and having done this right here, I'm going to go ahead and run a save on this. And then we're going to go ahead and see consequent to this save. Let's see what happens. I'm going to go ahead and play. I'm also going to mute just for the sake of making things a little bit more quiet in the background. So there we are in this environment. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into full screen. Just make it easier to see. I'm going to go over to that RV Life environment. Now, if you don't have it muted, there's going to be some background music. I just muted my tab so you don't have to hear that now. But here we are. We're in this particular environment. Very festive looking. We got a cake and some presents. I can go and collect a couple presents. And look at that. They gave me a bunch of points. Now I have 1,000 points. So what was that rule again that we wanted to have happen when we respawned? We wanted to subtract 100 points, right? So there's our lesson document right there, which is going to be part of some of yours future. But more importantly, if we think about the code that we just modified, we are setting up that code to subtract 100 points if we go off of this particular level. So let's go ahead and jump off, and let's just see if it respawns us and takes away 100 points. Look at that. We're respawned, and look at our credits right now. Our credits are now 900, so we lost 100. So there we are. There is really what I think amounts to a wonderful feature that has been added, and thanks to a wonderful student that gave that feedback, because communication is such an important part of the creative process, because most times it's more than one person in that creative process. And communication is something that I want to nurture and foster in all the groups that I'm part of. And I thank everyone in the group for being a good communicator. And let's go ahead and see what we can do to up our communication game. And I wish you a wonderful and wonderful day.